Hello and welcome to the Real Life Cafe. My name is Juliet Muremi. Thank you for joining us and thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you for subscribing. And to those who haven't subscribed, muendelee. Let's keep the numbers going up so that we can learn together. Today, we are going to discuss a very interesting topic, communication between parents and children. Lately, there is a gap whereby you find it's like the children and the parents at some point are not understanding each other. And we want to see how we can bridge this gap so that we can create a healthy relationship. I am joined by Leah Geshia, a counseling psychologist, and she will enlighten us more on how to bridge this gap. So Leah, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Juliet, how are you?
Niko poa salama, wewe uko aje?
Niko salama pia. I thank God.
Good to see you.
Congratulations for the good job you're doing, enlightening the society about the issues affecting us every day.
Wow.
I'm really happy and humbled to be present in your channel today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself so that, people out there can know you and tell us what you do.
Okay. My name is Leah Geshia. I'm a counseling psychologist by profession, a certified mediator, and I am more passionate on mental health, family, and youth. Because I do understand that you can never separate your mental health from physical health. So the same way I take care of my physical health is the same way I'd want us to take care of our mental health. Yeah.
Wow. And today we are talking about communication between, children and their parents.
Yeah.
Lately, a huge gap, you can tell there is a gap because so many cases, like you can tell there is a gap. So I would want to know, when we talk of communication, is it just talking, or what do we mean?
I'll start by giving a very brief introduction of what communication is. Communication is sending and receiving of a message. We have different kinds of communication. We communicate verbally. When I'm talking to you, we're communicating verbally.
Yeah.
We communicate, we're using non-verbals, where you make your facial expression and I understand what you're saying. At times we write. I write you, I chat you on your WhatsApp. That's also communicating. And other times we communicate virtually. You stand in front of me and do whatever you're doing, and to you, you're communicating. So the most important thing is understanding the message, depending on the way it's being communicated to you. Yeah.
And when we talk about communication, there is the age difference. You find that there is a newborn, there is a toddler, and then there is the age maybe from, the babies from, say, age 5 onwards, before the preteen, and now we have the preteens, we have the teenagers, and then we go to over 18. How do you differentiate like communication in those stages?
It's very simple, Juliet. Communication depends on the person you're communicating with, and therefore the form of communication will depend on the age, or the age bracket of the person you're communicating with. For example, when we have small babies, a 3-month-old child, at times we communicate to them, we laugh, we smile, and they smile back.
Yeah.
A small baby is uncomfortable, they will cry. Why are they crying? Because they want to communicate. They're not okay. That is communication. A 5-year-old will go to the supermarket with you and they will point that they want that, meaning they did not communicate verbally, but they pointed. That is communication. But as a child grows, we call it during the developmental stages of a child. That's when we have a lot of conflicts between parents and children, because as a parent, I look at that child as just as though they were very young. I want to communicate to them the same way I was communicating to them when they were 5 years old, and now they are 10, they are 14. You know, so when I don't understand that this child is growing, and this child, when they look at themselves, maybe the level of education where they are at, definitely it will bring a lot of conflict.
Okay.
And so how we do it as parents, it is important to understand that these children are growing, and as they grow up, it is also important for us to upgrade or rather enhance our communication to fit the age bracket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you've explained very well. We've come from the time the child is born. Sasa tumefika hapa kwa preteens and teenagers. Hapa ni kama ndio changamoto iko.
Yeah.
Wazazi wanafika hapo. My first daughter is at I think it's preteen. 10 years, right?
Preteen.
So now the parents who are at that stage and the teenagers, unaona wengi ni kama majority wanainua mikono kwa sababu it has come to a point hakuna kuelewana tena. You don't know what the child wants. The child naye ni kama hajui mzazi anataka nini. Kuna hiyo gap. What is the issue?
The issue is not understanding. Communication. Because as I said, during these children, they are growing up every day.
Okay.
You know, what they were doing yesterday, today they are able to do it better. You know, initially they would eat and leave the plate on the table. Today they eat and they serve themselves, they clean the table, they'll take the dishes to the, you know, they'll move the dishes from the table, meaning that they are growing. And so it is important for a parent to understand that as your child grows up, you know, it is important for you to know that they are no longer the toddler, they are no longer the young little girls they were that time. And therefore, anytime you refer that child the same way you were doing it when they were very young, they feel like you don't understand. And many parents have come to me telling me, you know, my daughter said, you know, the other day my son said, you know, I'm no longer a child. You know, mom, stop treating me like a child. And yeah, this child is communicating. They are no longer the little baba and kamami. You know, they want you to refer to them based on the level of age or maybe the grade they are in. And therefore, as a parent, if you get to understand your child better, then the child will understand you as well. Communicating is when I talk to my daughter without yelling. Maybe initially I would yell because when they are concentrating on their cartoon, they will not listen to me. And so I was used to yelling, you know, calling their name so loudly. So as they grow up, preteens and teens, you'll find that they no longer love the shouting. They don't want you to shout. You know, mommy is shouting.
Actually, they will tell you.
Yeah, stop shouting. Just call me softly and I'll hear. Yeah, so it all starts with us, or the adults, the caregivers, those that are staying with these children. Just understand that your child is growing up. And as they grow older, they have new expectations. In business communication, in the way we relate with them. These days, even dressing them. It's not those old days the way you would get into a mall, pick that jumper and you know, and bring home expecting that they will jump up and down with the jubilation that you brought them something. At times you'll do that. You go spend a lot of money. When you reveal the gift, they're like, mommy, what's this? I don't like the color. These ones are too outdated. Yeah, so as this child grow up, it's important for you to understand and tag them along, communicate with them. Let them understand what you want to do. Let them understand that you recognize that they are no longer young. And by doing this, they become more responsible. You know, anytime you look at that daughter and tell her, you know, I like the way you've cleaned the table. Tomorrow they will eat, leave the table messed up, but when you hoot at the gates, when they remember that mommy is driving in, they'll run to wipe the table because it's a responsibility. But this begins from you as a parent acknowledging that your child is no longer that little girl that that little boy they were yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I get that, you know, we like understand that they are growing, they are no longer babies, and then again we should not, you know, yell at them.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to shout for the child to hear what you're saying. And when you touched about dressing, I remember the last time I went with my daughter shopping. Hey, si tulizunguka like mpaka sometimes at some point nilikuwa zile za nikuzeeka, nimezeeka, because tunaenda tunapima kitu, no, I don't want it. Tunaenda tunapima ingine, I don't want it. So I get you completely when you say like they start change whereby as they grow mpaka kuvaa, they want to like they want to choose
They
for
want
themselves.
to be independent.
Yeah. So now tell me, how about a certain dress code, and you as a parent, you feel like, this one is not appropriate, okay? And that is what the child wants. How do you go about that?
I'll take you back to communication. Communicating is not a one-day thing. It's not you shouting, standing at the balcony and shouting and telling them, you know, in my house you can't dress like that. It's a process. You communicate every day. You communicate politely. Make them understand what you want. Make them understand why you don't want what they want to, or rather the lifestyle.
Whatever they are choosing.
Because apparently with the social media, you know, our children are so much in the social media.
Yeah.
There's new fashion cropping up every day. And therefore, as a parent, if you do not communicate with them nicely, then they will be dressing on the desired outfit, put on a dera or a wrap themselves with a lasso, leave your compound. They know where they hide those deras and the lassos, the Mama Mboga's kiosk. They'll leave them there. They'll pick them in the evening while coming back. Why? Because the reason as to why they're hiding, it's because they know the way they are dressed, you as a parent may not be comfortable, but it all begins with communicating. I wish you can be able to sit down with that 14, 13-year-old, that 10-year-old, and let them understand what every kind of a dressing means. You'll find a young girl dressed in a very revealing, maybe top, a boob top, a very small, tiny thing. And so they've exposed the whole body. As a parent, what if you sit that child down and tell them, or rather discuss with them the dangers around body revealing. You know, we are living in a very society that has all kind of people. You know, we're hearing on the news every day that a child was defiled, a child was molested. You know, what if as a parent you can be able to sit down with your child and make that child understand that you walking the streets of Nairobi naked is not fashionable. And you can give us very simple comparison. How are our boys dressing? Majority of our boys will put on very baggy t-shirt, a very baggy jeans, but you will not see an inch of their body.
Wow.
But they look good. But a girl child will walk naked in order to please. You know, dressing is also a mode of communicating. This little girl is dressing like that because they are expecting the other people around, or rather the young boys that will see them, they will be like, wow, that girl is beautiful. But when we talk as parents, when we talk to our children and make them understand that walking naked is not fashionable, you know, dressing indecently is not fashionable, then you will not need to walk with them from one shelf to the other, buying clothes with them. They will make their informed decision that as a young girl, I don't want to expose my body to the society. I don't want people to look at me, you know, the young boys staring at me. You know, I don't want to risk myself, you know, like against rape and such. When this child get to understand that what the dressing mean, or the dangers around that kind of dressing, they will be well informed, and it will be very easy for you as a parent to remind them, remember we discussed. That short is too short. It's a short, but it's too short.
Yeah.
That top is too revealing. Just get something better. But unfortunately, most of us parents, and especially our generation,
Yeah.
we will shout, we will burn the clothes, we'll beat the children up, you know, like, I'll beat you up, but I'm not explaining to you as to why I'm beating you up.
Yeah.
The other day, a lady came to me and she told me, you know, my daughter asked me why I took away, I think she had bought a very small dress. And so when she started a conversation with the daughter was like, why then can't you ban this kind of clothes from being sold in the stores?
Yeah.
And so it is an individual decision. You as a parent, it is your decision together with that child that you will decide from today will be dressing more decently because there's somebody else working in that same shop with a mother who is comfortable with that kind of a dressing. Yeah, and so in the society that we are in, as long as it's not me, then respect the decision of the other person. The fact that another parent is comfortable with short dressing or rather very revealing dressing, I do not judge because that's their decision. But what about me and the person that I'm representing? Am I communicating? Am I aligned with the decision I'm making for my daughter? We don't make decisions for them. We bring them on board, we brainstorm and come up with a solution together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. And how about when it gets to a point where now this child no longer opens up, they will no longer talk to you, they will just, you know, hide themselves, they will just be in their own world, and during that time, a lot of mess is happening. Is it the parenting style, or is it age? What is happening?
This kind of a behavior is informed by so many things. It could be based on your parenting style as a parent. It can be informed by the age. I mentioned earlier that during developmental stages, there's a lot of changes that happen in this child. And therefore, if you don't get to understand exactly what is informing this kind of an attitude or this kind of a behavior, then it will be very difficult for you as a parent to help this child. Many times, parents, we are so busy. Career women, career dads, you know, we're very busy in our own world. Our children are very busy in school. When they come home, they have homeworks and all that. And therefore, the only time we get to bond with our children, maybe it's during weekends, and not all weekends, because every weekend I have a chama. The dad has a boys club he's attending to. We have other church and all other social activities. And so gradually, we find that the gap is widening. The gap between a child and a parent, the gap grows wider every day. And therefore, I will start by saying this, that as a parent, become your child's best friend.
Wow.
It is possible to become your child's best friend.
Wow.
How do you become a child's best friend? By understanding, walking on the journey with them. You understanding that she's no longer 8, she's now 12. And so I'll treat her like a 12-year-old. She's no longer 12, she's now 14. You know, meaning there are so many changes that are happening in how we relate, in the communication, in the languages that we're speaking. And therefore, by the time this girl gets to that adolescent age, by the time this girl gets to that age where they lock themselves out, they no longer want to interact with other children, that child is very close to me. Because I've cultivated a friendship we've cultivated a friendship between the two of us.
And that friendship comes through you being available.
You being present.
Wow.
Apparently, many parents, we are not present. We are busy. They want to be in good schools. They want so many supplies in school. And therefore, I have to work for me to be able to provide. But as I'm looking for funds, as I'm looking for money to make their lives comfortable. There is this person who is yearning inside this young girl, inside this young boy. They are craving to have an intimate relationship with their mother, an intimate relationship with their dad. And therefore, when we come close to our children, we'll no longer yell, we'll no longer judge, because when they come to us, Juliet, will not be quick to answer. We'll be listening. I wish as parents we can learn to listen to understand. You know, I sit you down because I want us to talk. But as you sit down, Juliet, sit down with a mind of understanding. You know, that you're sitting down to listen to this child to understand them. Apparently, most of the time we sit to judge. We sit, we listen to respond. By the time, have our own. Yes, by the time this child has gone quarter of the statement, you already know
you have an answer.
You already filled up the statement for them. And at times, whatever how you fill in whatever the statement, maybe that's not what they meant. But because you interjected, because you interfered with the communication, then they'll be like, I'd rather not talk to my mom. I love working with children because they are very wonderful people. You know, what if we tend to forget as parents is that our children have complete human beings with complete emotions, with complete, you know, they have their own personality. And therefore, when my child comes to me and I judge, do I expect them to come back to me the next time they have an issue? No. And so majority of these children, because they believe that if my mother cannot understand me, then it is difficult for somebody else to understand me. And therefore that child decides to close up. You know, they'll lock themselves in. They will not express their emotion in public. And if you put a tape recorder, or rather you put a CCTV in their bedroom, they wet their pillows every night with tears. Yeah, because they don't know who to talk to. Others are molested, they are harassed, sexually harassed outside there. But the minute your daughter comes and tells you, no, mommy, so and so I went to the shop and there's somebody who touched me. As a parent, what we tend to do is, because of how you are dressed. I told you not to be going to the shop so many times. I told you to, you know, we'll find all kinds of accusation. And so at the end of the day, if this ever repeats itself, this child will not talk to you. Many children have tried committing suicide because they've gotten into places where they were so afraid of the parents. Maybe they went out, they were raped, they are pregnant, they can't talk to their mother, they can't talk to the caregivers, they can't talk to their daddy, because the minute they mention that, they'll be killed. Why kill a child and you don't know why? What brought about this? You know, maybe they were raped. Maybe they were forced into getting into such relationships. Become your child's best friend. Learn to listen to your child to understand them, rather than listening to respond or listening to judge. Yeah.
Wow.